Today is February 9th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today we're going to be reading Chapter 10, Two Employers, pages 139 and 140. And we're going to be reading Chapter 6, Step 6, the second half of page 65. So with all that, let's get right to the Big Book. All right, my friends. So on page 138 of the Big Book yesterday, we read about a man who was given an ultimatum. Basically, this chapter is obviously called Two Employers. So the main narrator is an employer, and he has another employer friend who has an employee who has been given an ultimatum to quit drinking. Basically, if he doesn't stop, he's out of a job. And the employer who became an alcoholic, the narrator of this particular chapter, he knows that's not the best solution. He's tried to reason with his employer friend and tell him about alcoholism, but it doesn't seem to be getting through. And yesterday we talked about sometimes it takes an alcoholic to understand another alcoholic and how they think about alcohol. That's the interesting thing about all this. But anyways, we are going to continue and find out what happened to the poor guy who was given an ultimatum. So this is on page 139. We'll be reading this page and part of 140. Top of page 139. Presently, the man did slip and was fired. Following his discharge, we contacted him. Without much ado, he accepted the principles and the procedure that helped us. He is undoubtedly on the road to recovery. To me, this incident illustrates lack of understanding as to what really ails the alcoholic, and lack of knowledge as to what part employers might profitably take in salvaging their sick employees. If you desire to help, it might be well to disregard your own drinking or lack of it. Whether you are a hard drinker, a moderate drinker, or a teetotaler, you may have some pretty strong opinions, perhaps prejudices. Those who drink moderately may be more annoyed with an alcoholic than a total abstainer would be. Drinking occasionally and understanding your own reactions, it is possible for you to become quite sure of many things which, so far as the alcoholic is concerned, are not always so. As a moderate drinker, you can take your liquor or leave it alone. Whenever you want to, you can control your drinking. Of an evening, you can go on a mild bender, get up in the morning, shake your head, and go to business. To you, liquor's no real problem. You cannot see why it should be to anyone else, save the spineless and stupid. When dealing with an alcoholic, there may be natural annoyance that a man could be so weak, stupid, irresponsible. Even when you understand the malady better, you may feel this feeling rising. A look at the alcoholic in your organization is many times illuminating. Is he not usually brilliant, fast-thinking, imaginative, and likable? When sober, does he not work hard and have a knack of getting things done? If he had these qualities and did not drink, would he be worth retaining? Should he have the same consideration as other ailing employees? Is he worth salvaging? If your decision is yes, whether the reason be humanitarian or business or both, then the following questions may be helpful. Can you disregard the feeling that you are dealing only with habit, with stubbornness, or a weak will? If this presents difficulty, rereading chapters 2 and 3, where the alcoholic sickness is discussed at length, might be worthwhile. You, as a businessman, want to know the necessities before considering the result. If you concede that your employee is ill, can he be forgiven for what he has done in the past? Can his past absurdities be forgotten? Can it be appreciated that he has been a victim of crooked thinking, directly caused by the action of alcohol on his brain? All right, that concludes our reading in the Big Book. Definitely want to come back to that in just a minute. All right, my friends, so now we're on page 65 of the 12 and 12. Yesterday, we talked about progress instead of perfection here in step 6. And I'm actually going to recap the last paragraph that we read, and then I'll jump right into today's reading. We're going to be finishing off page 65. If we ask, God will certainly forgive our derelictions, but in no case does he render us white as snow and keep us that way without our cooperation. That is something we are supposed to be willing to work toward ourselves. He asks only that we try as best as we know how to make progress in the building of character. So step 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Is AA's way of stating the best possible attitude one can take in order to make a beginning on this lifetime job. This does not mean that we expect all of our character defects to be lifted out of us as the drive to drink was. A few of them may be, but with most of them, we shall have to be content with patient improvement. The key words entirely ready underline the fact that we want to aim at the very best we know or can learn. How many of us have this degree of readiness? In an absolute sense, practically nobody has it. The best we can do with all the honesty that we can summon is to try to have it. All right, my friends, man, I am so grateful for that last part right there. I remember when I first read this step, in my mind, I didn't say it out loud, but in my mind I'm thinking, golly, there's no way I can be perfect. Are you kidding me? I have to be entirely ready to give up every single thing before I can move on to step 7. I was very overwhelmed by step 6, honestly. So I'm so grateful that this line's right here. This does not mean that we expect all of our character defects to be lifted out of us as the drive to drink was. A few of them may be, but with most of them, we shall have to be content with patient improvement. I was desperate enough I would do anything to stop drinking, but I was intimidated by step 6 because I thought that I had to be perfect. But as we can already see on page 65, we're not talking about perfection. Once again, we're talking about progress and having the heart to really want to change and to work at it. But I'm so thankful that this line says, this is the beginning on this lifetime job. This is going to be taken in a lifetime. And I always think about this one image, and again, this is just Robology. This has nothing to do with the big book or anything like that. Heck, I quoted Master Yoda yesterday, so I guess I can go with this. Is that I'm just kind of like this ugly boulder, right? But I'm giving God the chisel. And I'm allowing them to hammer away at these little character defects. It's going to take time. But over time, God can slowly but surely chip away at the things that are holding me back and bring out the person I was always meant to be. But it's a lifetime thing. And even by the time I die, I mean, I'm not going to completely be there, obviously. But again, thankfully, it's all about progress instead of perfection. And I'm so grateful for that. And going back to the big book real fast, talking about prejudice that people might have toward those who suffer from alcoholism. I had my own as a kid, thinking, well, why can't they just stop? They're being so selfish. And in a way, an alcoholic is, but it's more complicated than that. It is so much more complicated than that. I know it was for me because, as I've said a million times ad nauseum, I've tried to drink so many times, I tried not to drink, Freudian slip there, so many times, and I couldn't stop. My point is, I had my own prejudice about alcoholics, and I thought they were so selfish and lazy, and they didn't want to stop. I never thought that they couldn't stop. I never thought that before until I became one. And I completely understood. And I think that's what the employer is trying to say here as well, is to get rid of those prejudices and ask yourself some real questions here. I love this line right here on bottom of page 139. I looked at the alcoholic in your organization as many times illuminating. Is he not usually brilliant, fast-thinking, imaginative, and likable? So, hey, aside from the drinking, maybe we're all brilliant, fast-thinking, imaginative, and likable. That's all of us, right? I think so. I hope so. And then I like right here. Can you disregard the feeling that you are dealing only with habit, with stubbornness, or a weak will? If this presents difficulty, go back and reread chapters 2 and 3, where the alcoholic sickness is discussed at length. And then he asks a series of questions. Can this particular employee be forgiven? Can his past absurdities be forgotten once he's sober? can it be appreciated that he has been a victim of a crooked thinking directly caused by the action of alcohol on his brain? These are some loaded questions for an employer. And some might answer honestly yes, some might answer honestly no. Just stopping to think about it and letting go of the prejudices of those who suffer from alcoholism. I think that's a good first step for people who are not alcoholics. I am, once again, a victim of ignorance as well on the matter until I had to do some field experience myself. But all right, guys, that's all we have for today. I am so honored, thrilled, and just happy to be here with you today as we are in this lifeboat of recovery. Man, I'm just so grateful to do this podcast. I didn't think something like this would help my soul as much as it has. But hey, that's the beauty of the God of my understanding working in my life, and I'm grateful for that. I hope you all have a great day, stay warm, and I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow.